Hey guys, it's Heather from Project K9. I am just creating a little video about dog parks today. Had quite a few people that have gone to dog parks, still go to dog parks. I have clients that go, friends that go, other dog trainers, just people I know who want to take their dog and socialize at the dog park. My thoughts on this, because it's been a popular question the last week or week and a half, is what I think about them and what you can do to kind of continue socializing your dog, and whether you go to the dog park or not. Some of my thoughts on dog parks, my immediate first thing that comes to mind when I think about off-leash dogs socializing in a location in that way is the other dogs and how well trained they are and what happens when one needs to be corrected before a fight happens. Not talking about if a fight happens, then what to do. I'm talking about the interactions that lead up to cause the fight. Typically, when you go to a dog park, it's not supervised by trainers. It's not supervised by anyone who studies dog behavior. It's just a place for you to take your dog and have them just run and play and kind of have a good time. And that's great. However, the other dogs that come into the dog park, no one is evaluating them. No one is making sure that they're good with other dogs, with people, and resources. Resources can include food, toys, sticks, water, objects, people, anything like that where they can actually guard it and cause an issue between another dog. And kind of touching on the resource guarding, people like to bring toys to the dog park to play fetch, play ball, play frisbee, whatever, with their dog, play tug or whatever. This creates a high excitement mindset with their dog and also all the other dogs that are at the park. In high excitement mindsets, when they're adrenalized, when they're crazy, when they're acting crazy, those are when bad decisions are made on the dog's part. And so that's when you get things that are as innocent as jumping on people, jumping up and stealing food, pulling on the leash, things like that. And those are all behavioral issues, up to the more serious issues such as redirecting on another dog when the other dog gets the frisbee or a ball. Resource guarding is a more serious behavior as well, where they guard the ball or try and take the ball from another dog. Same thing, they can guard water. They can guard their owners, or anybody who even gives them attention. If you pet a dog, it gives them a reason to guard you. A lot of people don't think about these type of things when they take their dog to the dog park, because there aren't warning signs about this. The movies and the media try and tell you that the more excited the dog is, the more happy they are. That's not incredibly true, or not entirely true. That's also not true with people. If you go to a high energy concert or something like that, yeah, you're expected to be higher energy, yelling, screaming, jumping up and down, moshing, doing whatever. But that type of behavior is really not appropriate in a library. So you can be in a library having the time of your life reading a really good book, but you can also have a great time at a high energy concert. And so the energy needs to be appropriate. When you're socializing other dogs, high energy, high excitement is not appropriate when you have a multiple dogs situation. And that can mean 2, that can mean 10, that can mean 50, or more. You want to keep everybody safe, so you want to teach them how to play in a calm way with other dogs and with the toys. And you can't always guarantee that the other dogs that are there have received that type of training, or that type of impulse control. Some dogs can just be okay with having other dogs steal their ball or their bone or whatever, but over time that can also create frustration because they're never getting the ball themselves. Or it was a game between their owner and then that particular dog. But if another dog sees the ball and wants to come up and play, owners are not correcting that other dog because it's not theirs. And so that's my question, is how are the other dogs being corrected for inappropriate behavior? The simple answer is they're not, because owners are not comfortable correcting other people's dogs in public. As a trainer, I see this everywhere. I correct other people's dogs pretty much constantly, but this is my job. And typically it's in a group class or in an environment where people know that I'm trying to help. I don't just jump right in and say they're doing everything wrong and kind of jump down their throats. It's more, like I kindly want to help them and help them make some better choices with their dog. And have the dogs make better choices too. If you've seen any of my daycare videos, there's no resources in that area. I don't have toys, I don't use food, I don't use bones. I'm not petting the dogs as well. I'm not talking to them. I'm treating them like animals, not like children. And so, when I'm talking to them, it might be a little bit, hey, nice job, you're doing something good. Or a little correction, like, or hey, or something like that, just to kind of get their attention and guide them into a better choice. I'll use something called distance pressure, where I don't have to touch the dog to correct them, where I use my body as a tool. So those are ways that I keep the daycare energy lower when they're here, and I can control a group of 2, I can control a group of 70 with that type of energy. And so in the dog park, low energy, calm dogs are typically not really seen as being happy, unfortunately, even though they can be. So the high excitement on how to correct your dog is definitely one of them. And monitoring and evaluating the other dogs that are coming in. A lot of people take their dogs to the dog park who have aggression to socialize them. So if you have an aggressive dog, I have heard of people taking them into the dog park and letting them go off leash, even if they're human and or dog aggressive, to kind of help them socialize. That's not a healthy way to start. You can find a trainer who specializes in behavior modification and helps with aggression, anxiety, fear, hyperactivity, all of those type of issues. I'm one of them. There's some other trainers in Utah as well. There's trainers all over the United States. You just have to find someone who specializes in behavior, not obedience, not agility, things like that. That's a whole different world. But actually focusing on working through these type of behaviors. The dog park is not a place for that. It's not controlled enough. You can't control the environment well enough. I don't recommend it for that reason as well. A couple other things that just kind of jump to the front of my head when I'm kind of thinking about risks of dog parks. The vaccinations and the health of the other dogs. There, again, is no one making sure that every single dog coming in is vaccinated and healthy. So, okay, they may not be vaccinated and they might be the healthiest dog around. Wonderful. That's great for a home environment. That's great for, you can choose to vaccinate your dog or not. I know here in Utah, rabies is required by state, but all the other vaccinations some of them are good ideas, some of them we don't need here in the state, this state. But, anyway, I won't get too much into that. That's not what we're talking about. But you don't have anybody there making sure that they've received their shots, or if they're healthy. So if a dog has parvo and walks into a dog park, they can get every single dog who walks into the dog park sick for over 2 years. That bacteria can live in the ground for up to 2 years and get every single dog that comes into that dog park sick. So I'm not a fan of that either. Just because, again, I'm very careful about making sure that the dogs that we get here are healthy, and then when they're socializing that we don't have things like kennel cough outbreaking, parvo, rabies, distemper, anything like that. Parasites, they happen in boarding places and training facilities, but I do my best to try and make sure that doesn't happen. So, dog parks have no sort of, they don't have anything to make sure that those dogs are okay coming in. The other side of that coin is intact male and female dogs. I do have intact males in my group. I don't have intact females just because it's already difficult having the males, and if the female goes into heat while I have her, it kind of makes it a really, really big problem in the kennel, because even if they're separated, the males still know that the females are in heat, and Okay, it just lost connection, so I moved outside to see if I can get a little bit of better signal. And went off Wi-Fi, so now I'm on data, seeing if that's going to help. Anyway, what I was talking about was intact male and female dogs. Intact males, I do allow them here, and I do allow them in my group, but I just need to be careful about two things. One, that they don't get a little over assertive with other male dogs, and also that they don't get picked on. Intact male dogs do smell differently than a dog who's been neutered, just because the testosterone and the hormones are different. And so, I do watch out for that. But in a dog park, if dogs are practicing high excitement already, an intact male dog has a very good reason to start getting more amped up, start humping. I don't allow that. It's more of a dominant behavior, not necessarily sexual, but I don't allow that in the group because it can make other dogs uncomfortable. It's really not a polite behavior. It's not nice if someone comes up on the street and does that to us. I'm not going to allow that in my group either, or at the dog park. Definitely do not allow my dog to do that, any of my dogs, or any other dog to do that to mine as well. That's a very good reason for a fight to happen. And so, anyway, there's some risks with having intact animals. If you read the signs that go into dog parks, they don't allow females in heat. But again, there's no one checking. There's no one making sure that there aren't females in heat. So if you bring a female that's in heat into the dog park, every dog within a mile is going to be able to smell her, and they're going to go a little bit more crazy. In the dog park itself, it can create competition, aggression, dominance behaviors, fighting, and obviously mating. They want to mate. And so things like that, I avoid all of that by just not allowing intact females to be in my kennel. It has happened by accident for puppies that go into heat when we weren't expecting it, but I try and do my best to also not allow that. And so if possible, I have the females be spayed before they come, but I do allow intact males. Those are just a couple things that are off the top of my head on what I feel about dog parks. So there's the safety, the resource guarding, the evaluating of other dogs, that none of those are happening. The medical evaluation, making sure that they're vaccinated and healthy, and also that they're not in heat when they're coming into the park. The other thing, which is the whole other side of the coin besides the dogs, is the people who are bringing their dogs to the dog park. Most of the time, they are not evaluating the other dogs. They just want their dogs to go run free, and they're not really watching. They're also standing still, which can create the dog to want to stick around you if you're not moving around. And so, if you're still going to the dog park after you watch this video, make sure that you're walking around with your dog, giving them a job. If you're just standing, it's a really good invitation for other dogs to come up, see what you're all about, and it can make your dog uneasy to the point where it will guard you. I see that in just regular daycares as well. I've been to daycares that the trainers just kind of stand around, and I notice the difference in the demeanor of the dogs. There is a difference between walking around with purpose and kind of milling, and also standing still. So in the daycare, you pretty much see in the videos that I posted, I'm pretty much standing still, but I do move around a little bit. I'm not walking with a purpose. It's not training. I want them to socialize, but I want them to be safe. So I just want them to know that I'm there. That, hey, I'm watching you. Be good. Kind of attitude. And so walking around at the dog park can also just kind of give your dog a little bit more of a sense of security. And so, anyway, I'm not even going to get into the dog fighting part of the of dog parks, just because I can talk about dog fighting for a while. But basically, dog fights at dog parks are not uncommon, and usually the people who are just the owners, they don't know how to break up a dog fight properly either. So that's part of that of this side of the coin, is when there is a dog fight, they don't know what to do. And so they pull the dogs out of other dogs' mouths. They kick them, they beat them, they yell and scream, and all it does is just kind of attract other people and other dogs to that area. The more people you get involved in trying to break up a dog fight, the more risk there is of more damage and someone else getting bit and more dogs getting involved. You want to take away the energy from the fight, not add more to it. But people panic, they don't know what to do, and so you know, there's kind of that whole thing. And so you're just, same thing with keeping the energy low when your dog is around other dogs. This is kind of one of those same things where in a dog fight you want to keep the energy lower. You want to get rid of it, not feel that fire. So, and that's all I'm going to say about that, just because I can talk quite a bit about dog fights. So, anyway, this is just a couple of my thoughts on dog parks. I've had quite a few clients recently ask me about them, as well as just some questions that have come into my message box lately. So just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. If you guys have any questions on other ways on how you can socialize your dog besides the dog park, please let me know. Whether you're local or not, I can kind of put it in the comments. I can find some trainers in your area that have some options available. I know I offer some for my clients, but also to the public. And so it's a little bit of a safer way than just going to the dog park and kind of seeing what happens. So anyway, just post your questions in the comments box and let me know if anybody has anything that they want me to talk about in the future. Alright, well thanks everybody. It's Heather from Project Canine, and we will see you next time.